Oh, Stu.
Glenn, how are you?
Good.
Big speech tonight.
Yeah, big speech. We're going to be, what time's our coverage start?
7:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on blazetv.com/Glenn. They're doing $47 off today only. If you'd like to subscribe, use the promo code Glenn.
And as usual, everybody is here. We're going to be going back and forth. All of us are going to be on the feed tonight, so we're going to be commenting as we go. You'll get it from all of your favorite Blaze hosts. And we'll let him speak uninterrupted, give you a little pre-show, and then after show we'll be talking about the things that he did say and what we think of it. That's all on Blaze TV beginning tonight at 7:30?
7:30 p.m. Eastern, yes, Glenn.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right after a brand new Stu Does America.
Oh, my God.
Well, it's not exactly after. It's half an hour after it ends. But tune in a little bit early,
Okay,
watch that, and then watch the show.
All right, so I just... I have to start here because this is the thing that is our biggest problem, and it is, I was going to say this, but I want to be very careful. It's old people, but it's old people that will not leave Congress or the Senate. It's not all old people. Donald Trump is an old guy, but he's not acting like it, and he's not thinking like it. Mitch McConnell is an old guy who has old think. If he can even think. Somebody in his office is thinking old. Let's put it that way. So he represents Kentucky, obviously. Mitch McConnell wrote in the Washington Post, every time Congress faces a government funding deadline, Washington reminds itself that shutdowns are worth avoiding. This is familiar and an all too frequent conversation. He goes on to say, even as fresh eyes comb the Pentagon for new efficiencies and cost savings, effective military acquisitions continue to require multi-year runways. A truly clean, full-year continuing resolution would, at the level set for 2024, would mean no new starts on critical programs that the military needs. Okay. He goes on and on and on about how the Pentagon just needs more money. We just have to spend more on more for the Pentagon. So I would like to respond with my own op-ed. Dear Senator McConnell, your call for more Pentagon spending is as tone-deaf as it is reckless. The United States, I don't know if you know this, already spends more on its military than the next 9 countries combined. We spend $877 billion last year alone, dwarfing China, Russia, and the entire EU's collective defense budgets. All of those, 9 countries, and they're the big 9. And then us. And we still dwarf them. I don't know. You need more money? Why are you so worried about China if they don't have all this money? And yet here you are clamoring for more as if throwing cash at an outdated war machine is somehow or another going to secure our future. The world has changed, Senator, and your priorities are stuck in the old-time country time era. Aircraft carriers, those floating behemoths that you and the Pentagon so dearly love, are relics of the past. In the next real conflict, they'll be as useless as horses were in World War I. Speaking of which, let me just give you the stats on the horses, because it's going to be applicable to the aircraft carriers the next time we really go to war. When Europe entered World War I, they had 25 million horses. By 1918, 15 million of them were dead. Why? Because they were mowed down and slaughtered by machine guns and tanks that ran over them because they couldn't outrun them. That's the fate awaiting, Mr. McConnell. Boy, I would love to start calling you Mr. and that is the fate awaiting your aircraft carriers, sunk by hypersonic missiles or swarms of really cheap $500 AI-driven drones. That'll happen before they can even launch a jet. The 1950s called, Senator, and they want their war plans back. The future isn't in steel and jet fuel. It's in artificial intelligence and, unfortunately, artificial superintelligence. Every dollar spent on yesterday's hardware today is a dollar wasted in 3 years when AGI upends everything we know about warfare. Worse, with the Pentagon's track record, every dollar spent today will balloon into $2 or $3 of inflation tomorrow, thanks to the House and the Senate's obscene spending spree. We're drowning in $34 trillion of national debt. That's 128% of GDP, a level unseen since World War II. A level unseen since World War II. Annual deficits are now $1.7 trillion. That's what they were in 23. Interest payments alone are projected to go over $1 trillion this year or early next. I don't know about anybody else, but those numbers aren't sustainable. It's a fiscal time bomb. And yet you want to shovel more taxpayer money into the Pentagon that hasn't passed a single audit in its history? 6 attempts since 2018. 6 failures. Trillions of dollars unaccounted for. Waste so rampant it defies comprehension. I'm sorry, Senator, it's irresponsible, bordering on criminal, to suggest more spending when they can't even count the cash they have. When will you people in Washington wake up? The real threat isn't just from abroad, although those dangers are profound. It's from within. The call is coming from inside the House. In fact, it's not just the House. It's also coming from the Senate, Senator. Your refusal to adapt is jeopardizing our security more than any foreign adversary could. I don't know. Has anybody seen the drone shows that China does? You know, on their whatever, 4th of July. They seem to do it like 700 times a day or a week. I don't know why they do. But they have these drone shows. Thousands of synchronized lights that are just painting the sky, making things move. Have you seen them land ever on these giant open fields and they just keep coming down like an invasion? Thousands of these drones.
Now, Senator, I want you to listen carefully. I'll speak slowly so you won't hear it, but your staff will hear it.
Imagine those aren't fireworks or for a show, but weaponized drones, each one really cheap, precise, and networked by AI. A single network with AI, a single swarm could cripple our planes, ships, tanks, and troops before we ever load a gun. Ukraine's drone wars have already shown the reality. $500 drones taking out $10 million tanks. Senator, that is the future that we're staring down right now, okay? And you're still polishing Cold War relics? Here's what I want the president to say today. Freeze every bloated project. And I'm talking specifically about the Pentagon. Redirect everything, every dime, every mind toward winning the AI-ASI race. You know how I feel about that. It scares the living bat crap out of me, but you know what's worse? Us not leading. This is the only battlefield that matters now. We've got enough stockpiles of dusty old stuff to handle any foreseeable war in the next 2 to 3 years. We also have a president, if you people in Congress would understand what he's doing, fighting to end the conflicts, not start more of them. Your plea for more spending isn't just misguided. It is an absolute betrayal of the American people who are sinking under debt and inflation while you chase ghosts of wars past. Or is that what you're doing? I mean, I might have buried the lead here, Senator, but, well, let's see if anyone else listens to the following stats and they think, maybe this op-ed was being written not for the American people, and probably not by you, but probably by somebody who hasn't lost their mind to dementia yet, who works in your office. Listen to these stats. Your state, Senator, Kentucky, it's 45th in GDP per capita. It's 44th in employment. It's 42nd in high school diplomas. And yet it's 11th in defense-related contract spending. So, Senator, may I just ask you, who are you really concerned about? The safety of the American people? Or the people you funneled millions, if not billions of dollars to over the years? Haven't you done them enough favors? What do you say you give it a rest? Because thanks, but no thanks on spending more money with the Pentagon. What if you wake up tomorrow and the old world we've known is over? Somebody attacks our nation's power grid with an EMP. All of a sudden, electricity, bye-bye. Okay, gosh, today is difficult to survive even with electricity. But how much trouble are we in if something like that would happen? Well, you always have to prepare for the worst, and that is the worst case scenario. Most likely, did you hear that Justin Trudeau said, you want tariffs? We'll start cutting down the power supply running to America. Oh, yeah, you do that. Give us rolling blackouts. Yeah, you will be the 51st state. Anyway, there's a lot of things that you need to be prepared for, and My Patriot Supply has just released their new Grid Doctor 3300. It's the first solar generator with the revolutionary EMP intercept technology. It protects your power from devastating EMP attacks, keeping you and your family safe and comfortable. It has an industry-leading 3,300 watts of power. It'll run everything from your refrigerators and freezers to medical devices and power tools. Plus, when you get it, it comes with a free 200-watt waterproof solar panel. So don't wait until it's too late. Get your Grid Doctor 3300 with EMP intercept technology now at mypatriotsupply.com. Secure your family's future at mypatriotsupply.com. 10 seconds, station ID. By the way, I want to just tell you quickly, on March 7th, is that this weekend? That's this Friday, isn't it?
This Friday.
I'm at the Kids and Country Gala. Championing core values through bold legislative leadership. All right. This is
bold? I don't know. That doesn't really go together.
I don't know. Get your tickets now. If you're in Florida, I'm going to be there in Florida on Friday. Get your tickets now at www, like you need to know that, goflca.org. Goflca.org. And stand with those who are fighting for our country's future. You can purchase tickets on the phone, too, at 239-250-3320. We'll see you there Friday.
What a coincidence. You started your Mitch McConnell monologue with Go F, but then it went a different direction.
It was a little different. Yeah.
Now, do you feel bad beating up on a man who's just a few months away from retirement?
No.
He's already announced he's leaving, and you're going after him like that. It's sad.
No.
I do have one question for you.
Yeah.
Because I with you, want fraud and waste and abuse to go away. I think we spend a lot of money on our military, and a lot of it's not directed the proper way.
No.
But with your concern, and I think very valid concern that you've laid out many times about AI and drones and all of these things, is this the time to cut spending to the Pentagon with that type of threat on the board?
Let me just say, how many drones, $500 drones, could we buy with $1 billion?
I'm not a mathematician, but several.
Several.
Yeah.
Over 10.
Yeah, over 10.
Over 10.
Double digits at least.
Right. Mm-hmm. I just think that because AI is going to change everything, we're going to hit AGI and ASI. And we'll hit it.
That's artificial general intelligence,
and artificial super intelligence. When we hit super intelligence, we're going to say because we always war plan. Okay, always we do these little things. It will be able to war plan for us without us doing any exercises. It's just we're going to say what's the best, most effective way to conquer China should we go to war. And it will lay it out for you. And I can guarantee you it's not going to be like, well, what you do is you move your aircraft carriers. It's going to think out of the box, and it's going to think unlike people have ever thought before. So every dollar we're spending right now, it's like Henry Ford's family when, he was just starting the assembly line going, yeah, I know Dad's doing a lot of stuff, but I'm building new buggies. I think we should double down on the buggy industry. We don't know what the car of the future is going to be, so to speak, in war. We have no idea, but we are so close to it. Why would we spend any money on anything other than the race to AI, ASI? Why? Why would we? We could get there and we could go, oh, crap, we shouldn't have done any of that.
But so you just stop innovating in the military until ASI's here? How does that work?
we can. You just shouldn't spend $1 trillion on ideas.
Right.
Okay, let's shore ourselves up in the short run, but no need to launch that big program on the F-54 or whatever number we're up to. No need.
Well, how do your friends get their vacation houses?
That's a problem.
Okay.
That is a problem I haven't been able to solve.
Yeah, you haven't solved that.
Right.
I do think, because I'm with you. I think there's enough. My thought is there's enough in the military that you can cut and redirect and still save money, right?
Yes.
That I think I'm for. I'm concerned about the military's focus being efficiency. However, I don't think that when you're developing Star Wars is the example of that from the Reagan days, right? When you're trying to develop something like that, if you're counting every single dollar, your focus is not the lethality, as Pete Hegseth's talked about, of what you're trying to do.
We should not have the private sector count any dollar right now on AI. Right now, the Pentagon should be watching the private sector on AI. DARPA is already involved, okay? So we know the government is already involved in all of this and very, very well aware, and they will adapt quickly. But we should not be building old systems. We should be spending our money building server farms, power plants. That is the future. That's the future. Not another aircraft carrier or a newly designed plane. You want to talk about, do you see the big plane that went down? What was it? FedEx or UPS? Big plane that went down over the weekend. Bird strike. Okay. Gigantic plane.
It didn't go down. It had to
land, but it was on fire.
Yes.
Okay. So bird strike. Imagine what 500 drones could do. You don't even have to put explosives. You just swarm the plane in the sky and it's down.
Yep.
Stop it. Stop right now. Everything is about to change. And that should not just go for the Pentagon. That should go for every business in America. The future is not coming. It's here.
This is Glenn Beck.
Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. We're just talking about spending, and I want to talk about who creates jobs, what's happening with the economy. We're going to get into that here in a second. But Stu, when we went off the air here in the commercial break, he was like, I don't know if I agree with you on what I'm saying is freeze all of the big spend. Do not start any new airplane design at the Pentagon that is a 10-year contract. That most likely will be a waste of money because AGI and ASI is coming. And that will change everything. It will change warfare. It just will. Drones, $500 each, have already changed warfare. We have to be preparing for the future, and that future is much more nimble, much smaller, and I have a feeling much cheaper.
Are you concerned about a bridge here, though? And we don't know when this is coming. We don't know how it's going to develop. We don't know what it's going to look like. No one does. We still need the best planes while planes are important.
Right. But we don't need to start any new. Fix what we have. Finish what you've got in production. But you don't need to sit down and okay a new design for a new fighter jet.
It's a big bet, though. I mean, you're making a big bet on ASI and AGI with no backup plan. I mean, why wouldn't you want to have still the best planes in your arsenal?
I think, look, let's look at it this way. Our generation's Manhattan Project is ASI. Back when FDR was convinced by Einstein, he didn't believe it could happen, okay? And Einstein came in and said, I'm from Germany, they'll do it. And so he convinced him, go ahead, build this bomb. It was magical. Nobody knew that we could even get there. We could split the atom, but what does that mean? Can we actually make a bomb that will work? We put everything we had into it, and we continued to build planes and everything else because we were currently fighting a war, and we didn't know if that would happen. Up until the very last moment when they said, dear God, what have we done? Okay? This generation, it's going to end the same way in 3 to 5 years, except this time, we know it's going to happen. Almost everybody who was a naysayer on ASI, almost all of them are now saying, oh, dear God, yes, it's coming, and it's coming much faster than we thought. It will be here by 2030. Most likely, it'll be here in the next 3 years. Now, if that time continues to collapse, I mean, just in the last 5 years, it's gone from 2050, maybe, to now 2028, 2029. If that continues to collapse like that, we're at the event horizon of the singularity. So we know it's going to happen. Our job is to just bridge the gap as much as possible, but don't build things that we don't know are. Here's what our Pentagon should be doing right now. Building nuclear power plants. Our Army Corps of Engineers should be building those little teeny nuclear power plants, build as many as they possibly can. You don't even have to start them up yet. Just have them ready to go. So when the server farms are ready, when AI is there, we can power it. We won't have the power to be able to have ASI think and affect. We have to start thinking towards the future, not what's the next generation of fighter jet look like? There ain't going to be one, dude. There's just not, at least with a person in it.
Right, because it's still going to have, I mean, AI is going to probably come up with something that flies that is going to
it's going to be hypersonic, and it is going to, I mean, it might even be of a new material. Here's what people don't understand. ASI is going to look at the periodic table of elements and go, guys, shuffle the deck this way, and you have a material that will go 9,000 miles an hour. It will hold up under the heat and the friction. It won't bend. It's perfect, and it's only a quarter of the weight. And by the way, here's the formula, and you don't have to go and test it for 2 years. It's correct. Do it. I mean, that's how fast things are going to happen once they start happening. And Stu, this scares the hell out of me because you know how I feel about AI.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because AI obviously has a lot of negative potential consequences. And if we're putting the government, the military, in control of that, does that scare you?
No. I'm not saying that we put the government in control of it.
Okay.
We have to balance all of this, but the government is already involved in it. I'm saying let the government build like power plants. Build the things that we know the country's going to need the infrastructure to be able to handle this. Build the things that when they say, we got it, we can turn it on.
Yeah, get prepared for whatever's coming
Correct.
here. I think, too, I guess I'm concerned, and this is, from a guy I've talked to for 20 years who continually repeats the phrase, I'm always wrong about timing. I'm concerned about that bridge period. Because I think you're probably right. It is coming really, really fast. But if something happens, if something goes off course, if you don't know, you need to be prepared for that bridge period.
How do we spend $877 billion every single year? Every year. Mm-hmm. China spends $200 and some billion every year. And it's that close? If it's that close, we got other problems.
You're just saying that we should sort of rest on our laurels a little bit and just say, hey, we already have the best technology. We already have the best military. Let's not try to develop new things until this AI thing comes.
they're developing new stuff as well.
Yeah.
Great. Let's give some time to AI. Let's not double our work. Let's not spend money. Now, fix the stuff we have. Make sure we have the ammunition. Make sure we have the latest and the greatest that's already here. Don't do R&D on that stuff. Don't do it. And by the way, you can't tell me that, again, $900 billion over, let's say, 250 or let's say 300 for China. We spend 3 times the amount every year and we're not competitive? I don't believe that.
Yeah.
And if it is, everybody in the Pentagon should go to jail.
I do think we're certainly
Of course
competitive.
we are.
I will say that, like, to me, I think there's a lot of older projects. There's a bunch of crap in our military that
All
stuff
gone.
is my higher priority target, let's put it that way, than eliminating potential innovations in these fields. Even though I know what you're saying, they might be obsolete in a few years.
Then you have to come in front of a committee that is like filled with Elon Musk's and say, here's the pitch. I don't want the decisions be made by the senators or the generals at this point.
Yeah.
Here's the pitch. Here's why we think this fits with tomorrow's technology.
And they're not going to be an advisory role, but we do have a system of government that we have to follow.
I know.
Right?
But they should be the ones who go, don't do that, Senator. Don't do that. That's stupid. Don't do that. If they want to do that, then we can vote them out.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll all know which ones are just doing it because they're funneling money to their friends.
Part of this comes to the idea that the way I think about government spending, which is government spending is always worse than the private sector, which is a very basic conservative point, right? I think, though, the one time that you obviously constitutionally you have certain powers that the government spends. Defense is one of them that they're going to typically be responsible for. The way I look at it is government can do some things relatively well if you don't care about efficiency. But businesses do, right? So they will not take certain risks that have a low percentage chance of paying off. And the idea that maybe you come up with a nuclear bomb and you're able to stop global wars for multiple decades. A private company, certainly they shouldn't be coming up with nuclear bombs, but you know what I'm saying? That type of risk, that type of expenditure that will likely fail is the type of thing that the government can take on, because when you don't care about efficiency, when you don't care about, hey, we tried 25 things, 24 of them failed. Right. That's okay.
Look, private industry should be doing this and leading this, but the government's already in bed with DARPA's already doing this. I mean, the CIA was the one who helped fund Silicon Valley in the 1960s. So please, let's get over our little illusion that they're not involved in any of this. Let me give you an example on something that I hope the president's going to talk about tonight. The private sector versus big government and Biden's spending spree. What Trump is doing and what Biden did. The president's been in for 40 days. I've never seen anything like this in 40 days. So he's been in office for 40 days, and the numbers he's bringing into the economy are staggering. Yesterday, Taiwan Semiconductors, which is the greatest news you could possibly hear if you understand what this means. Taiwan makes all of the best semiconductors and superconductors, and they're dropping $100 billion to build chip factories here in America. Apple, $500 billion over 4 years to crank up its manufacturing. Think Texas server plants, not sweatshops. SoftBank is in for $100 billion on AI. UAE is tossing $20 billion into data centers. That's $700 billion in private sector commitments. Now, some people are saying that it's as high as $1.7 trillion, but I can't track those numbers and I can get a lot of rumors. I can get a lot of, maybe, but I don't have. This is real. This is almost $1 trillion. Remember the investment for Barack Obama, the Reinvestment Act was $787 billion. This is $720 billion, all coming not from tax dollars, not from government IOUs, but real money from companies all around the world that are betting on America. This number, like I said, can be verified, and they're not handouts. Now, just the investment from TCMC could mean 40,000 construction jobs and 6,000 high-tech gigs. Apple, thousands. This is the private sector, not because Uncle Sam wrote a check, but because Trump demanded the same rules on tariffs for everyone. We're going to charge you what you charge us. That is fair on any playground anywhere in the world. And then he sweetened the deal by cutting the red tape and the tax advantages that no other country will offer and said, build it here, bring those jobs here. We're a stable country. We're the future. Now, compare that to what Biden did with the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. I'm going to do that in just a minute. First, let me take a quick break. I'm going to have to come back to the comparisons because I've only got a couple of minutes here. Ran out of time, but I have to tell you some of the stuff that, I mean, what you're going to hear tonight is a long list of what Donald Trump has accomplished by bringing in money, by cutting red tape and tariffs to get people to move their businesses here in America. I just want to remind you of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. That was passed in 2021. It cost you $1 trillion, $836 billion in direct spending for roads, bridges, broadband, and the rest. Add in the Inflation Reduction Act, the $144 billion, and you have over $1 trillion of taxpayer cash that they took from you to give to their buddies. Now, they bragged about 57,000 projects shovel-ready. $554 billion of it was only announced mid-last year. Less than 17% of the $454 billion has actually even been spent. Remember, we're talking over $1 trillion of money. None of it has hit the markets yet. You think inflation is bad now? You let the government spend the rest of that $1 trillion. By the way, by November 2024, only $162 billion is actually last November was actually in play. The rest of it is still obligated on paper, or there's red tape that they have to do, and the waste is unbelievable. You know about the electric vehicle chargers, $7.5 billion. We've got 8 of them. The $42.5 billion for broadband. 0 shovels actually in. $42.5 billion, no shovels. So when they said all of this stuff was working, no. And why did Glenn Beck tell you all last year it's going to get worse before it gets better? Because all of this money is still in the pipeline. You want inflation? You wait. All of these plans, all of the things that they built, they did nothing in the last 4 years. Nothing. Now all of that money is going to be washing into the system if Donald Trump doesn't stop it. Tonight's a very, very important night. The president is speaking to Congress at 7:30 Eastern time. All your favorites from the Blaze are going to be together. We're going to talk about what he should say. Then we're going to watch it together with you and comment with you online. And then we'll talk to you after the president's speech.
This is Glenn Beck.